Hello everyone, it's Kat and I'm back today for my July check-in for my Project Pan. So we're shaking things up a little bit this month, partly because I'm seeing some progress and partly because we've been doing this project for like 6 months. So it's sort of like, okay, if something's not working, like let's move on. I'm also thinking of starting a sort of different monthly series on my channel, and it's going to work alongside this project. So I'll explain it. It makes sense. Let's start with the products that I've used up. The first one I used up was my finishing spray. So this is by Smashbox. And I don't use finishing spray much, especially in winter. It's quite cold. Having like a refreshing cold spritz on your face every morning, not as appealing as it is in the warmer weather. So it took me a while, but that is done. Now I had a few of these. So this is one that I just opened from the box. This is the original primer water. I'm going to use this now, and it's interesting because that's how much came in it. So I've marked it and I'm going to focus on using that. Again, I think it's going to take me a while, but whatever, we get through it. I've got 2 lip products here that I've used up or pretty much used up. So I've got my McGrath lip gloss, which is empty. So there's tiny bits on the side, but I've opened it up, I've scraped it, like not much comes out. The wand is pretty much dry. So that is done, which yay, go me. And my Colourpop, chubby stick crayon style lip gloss. I think it was called Just a Tint. The name has rubbed off. I'll have all the names of the products I talk about in the description box. But this one is so close to being done. That is fully wound up. So you can see there that there's only a little bit left. That's probably like, if I apply it and like reapply it a couple times during a day, that's like 1 or 2 days left. So I'm going to consider this done for this check-in, and then I'm going to introduce some new stuff. Another thing I thought I'd mention is that little Charlotte Tilbury lipstick that I keep making no progress on because I keep losing it. I'm taking that out. I don't know where it is. It's too small. I lose it. If I keep it in my handbag, it like hides down the bottom of the bag. I just don't get use out of it because it's too small and I forget about it. I need something that I can easily grab, easily see, and that is not it. So that is going to be taken out of the project. And what I'm going to be doing, so even though I love a bright lip, particularly red, I'm not going to be putting like bold color products in this project because I find that they take too long to get through. Even if I'm using them as my main color lip, so like my bold lip, I just don't tend to use them very fast. So I see a lot of better progress on my nude sort of balmy glossy formulas. So I'm going to stick to that in my Project Pan. But what I'm going to be doing alongside this is having like a use it or lose it project where every month I'm going to be focusing on just any palette in my collection. It could be a small one, a large one, a custom made one, a pre-made one, whatever. I'm going to focus on a different palette and a different lip color and decide at the end of the month, do I want to keep this? Am I enjoying it enough? Am I using it enough to warrant having it in my collection? And even if it's something I'm not going to plan on using every day, if I still really like it, I'll keep it. But if I'm like, nah, this is something I don't need, I'm going to get rid of it. So I'm going to stick to color products in that project. And this project is obviously going to be about using products up rather than just sort of rotating through things and seeing if I still like them. So what I'm adding in terms of like glossy nude lip products, I've got a Sigma lip oil. So this is in the shade Tranquil, which is a pinky sort of version. I have actually panned, I think, 2 of these. These are really lovely and easy to pan. So I thought this was a handy one. And also because it's winter, I find pinks suit me a bit better than they do in warmer weather. It's only been used a few times, to be fair. So this one is pretty much full. Then for more of a balmy consistency, I've got a Linda Hallberg. This is one of the, is it called Fantastic? Fantastic lipsticks. This is in the shade Famous, which is a bit different from the lip oil. So this is more of a brown. So it gives you that sort of like 90s lip vibe. Whereas if I swatch this one, much glossier and more pinky nude, whereas this is like a balm and a brown nude. So I thought these cover a lot of bases. So these are going to replace a lip gloss and the like chubby stick, and these are going to be things that I can just throw on anytime. They can also be used in conjunction with my lip liner that I added in last month. So this is the Charlotte Tilbury Pillow Talk one. So you can see it's like a mauvey color, but it could sit really nicely under this. Theoretically, it could make that a little bit more pink. So yeah, nude, easy to use products. Got to go in the Project Pan. Another thing I'm taking out because I just don't use is my Iconic London. This is the Chrome Flash Eye Pot in Cosmic. Really pretty, really frosty, but I don't want to wear it every day. And I think it's also hard because when I am trying to also pan eyeshadows, this sort of hinders that. It's just so much easier for me to just throw on a quick eyeshadow, like a powder eyeshadow, than like pick this up, which is a weird sort of like putty formula that like is resistant to brushes for some reason. So I've got to pick it up with my finger. I've got to put it on. I've got to blend it out before it dries. It is very pretty, but it's not something I want to wear every day. So this one I'm just going to put back in my drawer, and if it dries out eventually, it dries out, but I will use it when I want to use it. I just haven't used it for 2 months, and that's a sign that I don't need it in this project, and I'm not going to finish it. It is what it is. Last thing I'm switching up is I'm going to be adding in a new eyeliner. Now I do have a few eyeliners in the project already, but I'm really missing a basic brown, and I actually don't have many basic browns, which is good. It shows that I've got like a lot of colored liners because I've got like a section of my makeup drawer just for eyeliners, and I've got a lot of them, like probably like 30, 40 liners. Very few of them are brown. I did do a declutter of that I think last year, but I might need to refresh my brown collection, but I miss browns. So I'm putting in my Juvia's Place. This is a brown eyeliner. It's in the shade Cocoa. I really like this. This is retractable. Oh no. I didn't look at this before I added it in. Look how much is left. That's fully twisted up. So it doesn't go any further. So yeah, I'm adding this in until I find another brown to use next month, because that's a joke. Anyway, I should have checked that before filming. I'm adding it in anyway, so that will be done very quickly. Just a quick update with my other liners. I don't think I've used this blue one too much. I'll have update photos on the screen. It's just one that I think this month I've used only a few times. I don't even know if I've sharpened it. With the green Rimmel one, this is on the chopping block. I mentioned it last time. I'm just not really using it. I do think there is some progress though. I don't know. Can you see progress? I'll have photos on the screen anyway, but I feel like this is doable. What I might need to do, which I'll get crafty with, is I might actually need to use this almost like a base for an eyeshadow, like a green eyeshadow. Okay, so this might be the end of this liner. Luckily I've got another one that I'm adding in, because this doesn't go all the way down anymore. I twist it down. It must be broken at the base, and if I wiggle it, it doesn't really go down. But you know what? Okay, slowly going down, but it stops at this point. I don't care. I've decided you're gone. Rimmel? Are you Rimmel? Revlon. Oops, Revlon. This is going. Bye-bye. I don't use it much. I've tried for 6 months. Okay, bye-bye, you're gone. All right, so I've got a blue liner. I've got a brown liner that's nearly done. And I've got my liquid liner, which is black. I actually really like this. I'm wearing it today. I've been using it quite a lot because it's either black liquid liner or the alternative was blue or green. So this one has had a bit of use in the last couple months. Like hopefully there'll be updates on the screen of, look, it's liquid liner. You use the smallest amount. It goes down in very small increments. So I'm hoping there's some progress, but I do use it very regularly. This is just buying me a little bit of time to figure out what other liner I want to add next month. So these are currently in my project. That's fine. I'm happy with that. That works. I haven't had much luck with my foundation this month, so I'm panning my Luminous Silk. This is too dark for me, way too dark for me, too yellow, and I have decided to mix it with a very light shade of Maybelline foundation. So I bought this specifically to mix with that, because if I mix it together, it makes a good shade for me. And I got this for like $16 or something Australian, which is nothing. Now it is going down very slowly. Now I think that's because it is winter and my ratio has gone from like a 50-50 split to like 1:2 ratio. And it means that there's very little progress. That's fine. I'm going to keep going. It's a nice foundation. As the weather starts to get warmer, which is not for quite a few months now, this will probably, the ratio will increase. But this is nearly done. That's the hard thing about this. I think this is down to around there. And it's going to get to a point where I need to figure out what else I'm going to mix this with. And I don't want to buy something specifically for it. So I'll brainstorm. I'll figure it out. We'll make it work, but yeah, that's where that is. Primers, I'll have to put weights on the screen. I've got my eyeshadow primer by Kaleidos. I keep thinking there's nothing in here, but whenever I go to squeeze it out, there's plenty that comes out. There's no spluttering. There's no sign that it's ending. It just keeps going. It's fine. It's a good eyeshadow primer. I don't use this face primer very often. This is the Too Faced Hangover Replenish Face Primer. Again, it is a bit sticky, which is good. So it actually, I think it does help grip makeup a little bit, but I don't feel like my makeup is better when I use it versus when I don't. And I just feel like because I do use a few layers of things like serum, moisturizer, sunscreen, when I then go to my makeup table and I have to put another layer of essentially moisturizer on, it just feels like it's too much. So I don't feel like I use this much, but at the same time, it is getting pinched in. So as this sort of like pumps out, it like the air doesn't go back in. So it just sort of like, there's a bit of a suction going on, and you can see that it is looking like it is being used up, which I'm shocked about, because I don't use this often. I might use it like once a week. So weights will be on the screen for that. We'll see how it goes. I'm also going to put weights on the screen of this Pixi Brow Tamer, which is a clear brow gel. I use it occasionally. What can I say? It's just going to keep going. I don't care. It was brand new and I only introduced it the other month. So, you know, it's a slog, but weights are on the screen. We're finishing with what I would consider cheek products. Now, in that is an eyeshadow palette. Now, again, because I've got that other sort of series that I've started doing where I'm focusing on an eyeshadow every month, this one has taken a bit of a backseat. I also did a review of a Glaminatrix palette, which I'm wearing on my eyes today. So that's what this is. This is the M Cosmetics Divine Skies eyeshadow palette. I said last month that I'm going to start using it as a blush, and I have, and I really like it. I don't actually think I use this as an eyeshadow at all this month. It is, so the progress on these areas, which I'm sort of designating for eyeshadow, and then these ones I'm swiping my brush across and using it as a blush, which I'm wearing today. So that is the combination of those three. I'm seeing some really good progress in the top ones, obviously. Now I am hitting a bit of a snag because the mattes are a lot firmer, harder to pick up, whereas the shimmers are easy to pick up. So I'm finding that I'm making sort of big gouges in the shimmers, but the matte is sort of like hard to pick up. What I've started doing is getting the back of a brush and just sort of like trying to pick up some loose product. So when I then go in to pick up the rest of to sweep my brush across, I'm actually picking up some of the matte, because the matte was just sort of getting a hard pan and looking sad. But I'll have photos on the screen of the progress. The progress is shocking because I'm using this every day in such a large area. So just be prepared. Now, where does that leave my other cheek products? I've been occasionally using my little Rare Beauty Peachy one. And I actually quite like using it quite heavy-handed. So, but as an everyday blush, I prefer a powder. So I might do that like twice a week. I'll have weights on the screen. So I am using it, but I don't think I'm close to finishing it up. There's still a lot of product in there. When it comes to my other blushes, realistically, I think I've used this one once. So you'll see no update. So I'm not even going to bother showing you photos because I've been using the eyeshadow palette a lot more. Again, yeah, I think I used this yesterday, and that was the only time in the past month. When it comes to my Hourglass one, I don't think I've used this at all. So that one, again, there's no change with that, which is fine. These are sort of any time of the year blushes. If anything, this one is more suitable for like spring, summer. So if I maybe focus on this one a little bit more in winter and then come back to this when it gets a bit warmer, because it looks a little bit more like a pinky flush cheek, that is, you know, it's fine. We're still going. I have made a bit of progress on my Nabla highlighter. So this is the highlighter in Ozone. Now, one thing I noticed was that I felt like I was sort of hitting a bit of a plateau with it, even though I was using it quite heavily handed. And then I realized I think there were sections that had a bit of hard pan on it, but it was hard to see because the color is so light. So I actually went over and I sort of scraped off some of the areas that had like hard pan, and now it's much easier to pick up. So I'm finding that I'm making some good dents in the areas that weren't really moving before. And where does that sit with this? This is a very shimmery blush look because it's got the shimmery eyeshadow shades in it. That's all I'm wearing today. You can see that if you really do focus on those shimmery shades, you can get a really highlighted effect. So I don't often reach for this, but there are times like when I'm wearing this, or if I pick up predominantly the matte and I want some more highlighter, I do use this. So I haven't been using it as much as previous months, but I'm hoping that if I keep on top of that little bit of hard pan, then it's going to be easier to see that progress. So that's it. That's all the products that I have used up, the progress, the things I'm getting rid of, the things I'm rotating in. I think in the scheme of things, I'm doing really well. I also think that having that use it or lose it project that's going to run alongside it makes a lot of sense, because it's very hard to pan like big eyeshadow palettes. It's very hard to pan colored lipsticks. So it's sort of a way that I can use up my core makeup and then also play around and rotate things from the rest of my collection, so it's not going stagnant, and also I can keep deciding, like, is this something I still like? If that series works out well, it might be something that I always pair alongside my project pan, because one thing that a lot of people have hesitations about with project pans, which I totally understand, is if you have a makeup collection and you're focusing solely on these products, like, what do you do with the rest of your makeup? And what I tend to do is I will use mainly these, but I'll let myself, you know, reach for a fun lipstick occasionally, reach for a different eyeshadow occasionally. But I understand that sometimes that's not enough for people. And I think this is a really good way that I can use the majority of my collection without being like, oh yeah, I forgot I had that, because I've been panning makeup for so long that that product has been sitting in a drawer for 2 years. So I think it's a good addition. Anyway, let me know how you're going. If you're panning, let me know if you do sort of like a rotating shop my stash type project. What are your tips? What are your recommendations? At the moment, I'm just going to be doing it with eyeshadow palettes and lip products, because I feel like that's what I really struggle panning, and that's sort of like the gap in this project pan. In the future, I might incorporate things into that, like fun blushes, colored highlighters, things like that I don't want to use every day. But I think I'm just going to start fairly small, because I'm quite overcommitted with the blushes and stuff in this. But that could definitely be something I add to it. So like even bronzers, like I don't use bronzers daily, but like if I pull out a bronzer and I'm like, okay, I'm going to try this and see how I go using it for a month, do I need to keep it or not? So yeah, I like the idea of pairing them together. So thank you to my members for supporting this channel. Mwah! I love you, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.